legitimate businesses being destroyed. For instance, Karoshe, who are known to manufacture legitimate things. Definitely, the concerned people probably have gone or will go to court about these matters. How do you face that challenge?
It is true there are a lot of companies, but I think what we also need to understand is that you may be running a legitimate business, but if one of your products has an issue, if just one of your products has an issue, then that was one reason why that product was being looked into. So you will find even now there are people who are still manufacturing those whose if your product has no issue, then you are allowed to continue. But if any of your product has an issue, then you cannot claim to be running a legitimate business until when you are cleared. We do understand that there are people who will go to court, and the court will only protect you if you are doing the right thing. If you are not doing the right thing, then you will not be able to go far, because it will be evident by the end of it that you are not meeting certain standards. And just to give you an idea of the standards that we are talking about, we are saying, if we look at your factory, is it located in a place which is suitable for that kind of production? You find some factories are located near schools, which is not acceptable. If we look at your production factory, is it automated enough, or you are using a lot of labor? You are refilling with your hands, you are cleaning the bottles with your hands. So that's a problem. Is it automated enough? Are you paying the taxes to the government? That's another thing we look at. We're also looking at the people who you have employed. Have you employed people who are qualified, who have the necessary qualifications? Do they have the relevant medical certificates? We are also looking at, are you meeting the public health standards? Do you have enough sanitary facilities? So there are quite a number of parameters. Even your drinks, does it meet the Kenya Bureau of Standard, the standards that are set for the production of those drinks? We are looking at all those parameters before we say that now you can continue with your production.
Mr. Muriuki.
Matsuri. Oh, sorry.
No. Mr. Muriuki is Robert Muriuki is the member of the Association of Spirit Manufacturers
of Kenya. Yes.
How old is your establishment? How old is this organization?
The organization is maybe about almost 2 years now. But it came to inception after a lot of consultation within the industry, and it's not very old, but I think it's very effective as we speak.
What are your concerns about this exercise which was ordered by the President?
We find the exercise to have been done in a very unlegal manner. In fact, we think we can actually use the word illicit on how it was carried out. One, because these were legal and established businesses. Legal and established businesses, which means that we had gone through the licensing procedure. We had been certified by the various government bodies, including all the government bodies, Kenya Bureau of Standards. We had gone through a rigorous process of vetting even before we started manufacturing. So we're now going to go through that process again. But we had actually, initially before we started, and the government organs had done a very good job. But when the President made the directive, the process went rogue. That's what I would call it, because our established licensed businesses were now called illicit, and yet they were licensed. If you ask NACADA today where they got the number, where they got the details of the illicit brewers, they will not tell you, because they do not have a database of illicit brewers. What they had was a database of licensed brewers who were vetted and who are licensed every year after going through a certain procedure.
When the President talked about second, whatever,
generation.
Yes. What's the definition of that? Either of you can tell me. What is second generation alcohol?
Second generation alcohol, I had this year. During that process, there is no direct definition of second generation alcohol as opposed to first generation. And I would like to hear a very substantive definition, because we also in our industry, we do not understand what second generation means.
What is it? What is second generation?
I think sometimes you get a popular slogan but it's not a formal classification. So I would say that that the issue of secondary generation is a slogan that has been used, but even us formally we don't have it as a definition that this is first generation and this is second generation. But it was a slogan that was applied, and at that time I think people were referring to the recent drinks that have come into the market. But if you have a decent drink that has come into the market and it meets the standards, then to call
are there anyone which have those the recent ones? Are there ones that are licensed as of now?
Yes, if they meet the standards.
No,
even if it's
give us names of those, if you can remember, the companies that are open, which are the new ones, not imported drinks, manufactured industrial area in Thika or wherever, Naivasha, which are now legitimate and they are operating. Are there any?
Unfortunately, I think I'll not mention any brand names, whether they are well or
companies.
whether they are doing well or not.
We are not talking about a certain drink.
Yes.
Like Tusker.
Yes.
We are talking about a company. Maybe you can give us a number of companies. 10, 15, 1, 2.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Fortunately, I'll not mention the names of companies, whether they are doing well or not, because I think that would be infringing on their rights at this point.
No, I'm saying you closed companies because we are doing illegal things. Are there the ones that have been open since? You can tell me you have opened 10 or you have opened 11.
No, the companies which have been closed, none of them has been opened. And the reason, as I said, is that the vetting process is not completed. That will be done after the vetting process is over and the report is compiled, and then they will be given the formal communication.
What is your reaction to that?
Well, there are companies that are operating, for sure, and I can name a few. There's Africa Spirits, there's Mount Kenya Brewers, which are still selling to the market. EABL is operating. So I don't know whether the
EABL does not manufacture second generation.
It does. If you're calling the newly introduced vodkas and spirits, they have a spirit line. They actually do, and those are selling in the market.
So breweries have never been closed.
I don't think it has ever been closed.
What about the other ones you have mentioned?
They are operating.
Well, they were closed and reopened.
I think at the initial stages where there was a lot of panic and a lot of movement here, a lot of MPs chest stamping and you know, breaking into factories, some of them were closed for a moment, but they are now back into operation. Either their drinks, we don't understand how that was done, but well, maybe we can be advised. But they are in the market.
So what would you like done, your association?
You see, first of all, we would like to remove the name illicit, because illicit actually means something that is operating outside the law. Our brands and our factories were actually licensed through various bodies of government. So if that is a licensed operation, then there's no way you can call the product illicit. If they come back later and find out that yes, actually your product was did not meet the standards, then that product is substandard. It is not illicit because it has been licensed before, and we go through a rigorous testing process. Every organization before you, like now we reapplied for our licenses in January. You have to take your product to KEBS, you have to go through KRA, you have to go through a lot of vetting and processing. So we don't operate in a vacuum. We operate within the law.
To me, you are worst enemies of yourselves, because some of the manufacturers went and not only did they make fake drinks, they also made fake KRS stamps, they made fake KEBS stamps, and you stick on the bottle.
See, that is a different problem, because now we're talking about counterfeit.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that is
counterfeit, that is fake.
You see, if I make my product, I cannot counterfeit my own product. You see, so somebody out there is riding on our success. Riding on our success, meaning that they take whatever it is that you have made and brand it and put it to the market, and then run their own parallel product. So basically, that is now a counterfeit. That is now a police issue. Different organs of government should now come in. We even have an anti-counterfeit body. Yes, so those guys should actually come in and say, look, this is the problem. These are the guys who are counterfeiting. Arrest them. Counterfeiting is big business worldwide.
I'm not talking about counterfeit. I'm talking about you,
yes,
the manufacturer, taking to the Bureau of Standards some good products.
yes.
But what you manufacture is not what you are selling is not there that way. It's something else altogether.
You see, that is what that's what we're saying. We're not saying that we are all perfect. We are not perfect. There are people amongst us who are dealing in that corrupt practice. But you see, for us, we're building a brand. We are looking at international standards. Okay, so we're building a factory based on things like Kemba, which is continuous improvement. So why would I want to sell to my customer a product that is substandard? I need that customer tomorrow. You see, that is where the thing is. We are building a legal business. Politics has come in the middle of this whole thing, and which is very, very unfortunate. But we're building a legal business. I need my customers tomorrow. I do not want my customers to go blind or die.
But the customers have died.
Yes, but because of unscrupulous dealers who are there in the society. But you see, me as a manufacturer, I'm not a policeman. We, right now with our association, the way it is, we have come together in that we want to police ourselves. We want to assist the government.
Tell us how you police yourself.
You see, in your distribution network,
yes,
we are able to identify who is doing what and what in the market. So as an association,
competitors.
But we have come together now because of the issues that have come up. We have been out of business for the last 3 months. Some of us have rented premises. We're still paying our landlords. We're still doing this and that and the other. So we are losing a lot of money, and we have lost a lot of money. Okay, and because of that reason, the association has come together strongly to help. We want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So that's where we are.
What do you say to that? Closing people's business for 3 months, and they're legitimate people, legitimate companies doing legitimate products. Like they were advertising in the TV. I've seen, in fact, even media houses have lost business because some of these drinks were legitimate, being advertised. There had no problem at all, but now they are closed for 3 months. How do you justify that?
I think at one point I want first of all to respond to the issue which is raised that there are some manufacturers who are still producing, and in a case where a manufacturer had 5 products, 4 products had no issue, so they are still continuing with those 4 products. The only one which is questionable is the one which they are not producing. So that is why you may find a manufacturer who is still producing, but the product which was questioned, that one is not being produced. Now coming back to what you have said about closing for a certain period of time, I think it is important, especially when we want to protect the public, to take stock of what has happened. And if you look at what the government is doing now, it will set a more firm approach in terms of how the industry is going to be contained. By going through the vetting process, the government is not just looking at allowing people to come back and start producing. It is also looking at addressing the environment under which this production is taking place. So one of the other terms of reference.
When you talk about environment,
yes.
When they were licensed,
yes,
the licensed persons, the Kenyan Bureau of Standards, the Minister of Health, they knew their factory is there and they licensed it. How come now lately you are saying, oh, the environment?
The environment means we look more deeply at the policies that are in place. Because you could have license because of the policies which were there. We are also looking, that task force is also looking at the laws and the gaps that are in the laws. Even looking at the ingredients, the raw materials that are being used. It's going to be, the government is going to give more guidelines now on the raw materials, the penalties, the production process. So those licenses could have been appropriate at that time, given that social and policy context. But that one is being re-examined. So when we talk about now proceeding with the production, it is not just allowing the manufacturers to proceed. No, the policy environment will be examined, and it's going to be a totally new game altogether. We are also looking at the way treatment and rehabilitation has been done. We are also looking at the way all other aspects of production are being done. So it's going to be completely different.
Are you involved in this for policy changes, your association?
We are not. That has been the biggest problem from the word go. We need to be involved in the whole process because we understand our market better, we understand our industry better. We are not refusing to meet the stringent whatever stringent measures that are put in place. But this is what we are saying. We are saying, look, involve us in the decision-making process. Like now, for example, when the president came up and said, I want all illicit brews dealt with, okay? And people started destroying even legal products. What are we saying? Are we saying that when you build Kenya, only Kenyan products cause alcoholism? Are we saying Kenyan manufactured products cause alcoholism? Because I think we are past that stage. Yeah, Kenyans actually manufacture a product that can be compete worldwide. So when we manufacture, we get a standard from Kenya Bureau of Standards. So before you even take your product to the market, you have to meet the standard. You have to meet the standard. It's a guideline, it's a booklet which you purchase from KEBS. Now, when this product is now put into the market, before the product is put to the market, KEBS tests the product and tells you, fine, you are free to manufacture and for public consumption. And this is something that happens on an yearly basis. So even in production, you take your product and it's tested and it's proven to be of right for human consumption. But now this is what we are saying now. As NACADA and KEBS and government work together, they're leaving us in isolation. For example, in the last 3 months, we have no idea what is happening. Yes, we were inspected by a task force, but we are not involved in the process. And yet we understand our environment of doing business better than anyone else.
Are you saying, like you're saying, that only Kenyan produced alcohol is not good? But if we import John Walker or whatever,
Cognac even, and these are other things from Tanzania, region, and our standards are harmonized.
Are you saying that only those are the ones that are causing problems?
No, actually when we talk of alcoholic drinks, we do not even discriminate that this is a Kenyan product or this is an imported product. When we are doing surveillance, we take all the drinks in the market, because like you rightly said at the beginning, you could even have an imported product which has been counterfeited.
Yeah.
So when we test, we look at all of them in general. We do proper sampling so that we are not saying this is imported and this one is not imported. But also coming to the point which is raising about their involvement, right now in Kenya it's not possible for you to pass a policy decision without involving the public. So the stage at which we have now embarked on was the vetting of the manufacturer. That is what has started. But I have mentioned there are other areas which we will be dealing with, policy issues, and that will involve the task force going around to various places to ask to get responses from people.
Do you have a deadline? Do you have a time frame? Because the companies are closed, yes. They are bleeding.
Yes.
Do you have a time frame when they should be accomplished?
Actually, that's why we started with the first one, not the policy, with the first one of vetting, so that is the most immediate. And I can tell you by the end of this month, that report will be ready and it will be submitted to the Cabinet Secretary for action.
The anxiety is that you open the manufacturing factories. So a paper going to the Cabinet Secretary, it does not help them.
It does, because that is the one which will come up with the recommendation on who should be allowed to operate based on the findings that will be coming up from the report, and who will not be allowed to operate.
What is your reaction to that?
I think the process has been done and is being done. We have no idea what is going on. We're in isolation. We don't understand. We're not consulted on anything. You know, things just move from the task force. The task force, there's a task force. It was a very huge task force that came and inspected and did everything, questions and everything. But since once the task force has done the inspection, they've gone mute.
Why can't you make presentations to the government?
We have always wanted to present to the government.
What stops you from making presentations?
I think what is
you are an association registered. Why can't you even to the president?
I think the problem is they are waiting for this report. You see, they're waiting for the report to now know who is legal, who is not legal. So without that report coming out, and we have not, as you said, timelines. Without that report, we cannot engage government in further discussions. You know, as you know, we're in court at the moment because of destruction of property, which is unconstitutional and what we call illicit in our industry. But we need to engage with the government in terms of finding a solution to this problem, because are we going to be closed forever? What's going to happen to our businesses? Some have been running for years. Yeah, we want to build a good product. We need the help of like Mr. Maturi and Akada and other government organs.
What are you doing about counterfeit? Which is a totally different matter. There are many. I understand there are places that they even make East African breweries like drinks to the bottle, things which are not. You will think you are drinking Guinness or Tusker. You are not. It's not the same.
Yes, I am sure you are aware that we have a whole department that deals with counterfeit, that is anti-counterfeit. And the purpose of having that department is to ensure that all these counterfeits are dealt with from the market. So they are also part of the task force. So there will be recommendations on how to deal with the counterfeits. One of the things that we have been doing is that we have been working with the anti-counterfeit, and when we are going around doing the testing, it's not, we do not just test the quality of the drinks that we get, but they also help us to certify whether these are original or counterfeited products. So it is part of the work that is going on, and it is also required that if your product is being counterfeited, you report. That is the first thing. You yourself as the manufacturer, you report. But sometimes we have had problems whereby a manufacturer is not willing to report, and the reason is that sometimes they feel if they report, then even their own products will be taken to be counterfeits. So sometimes they take a raw profile and try to address that without reporting. But it is a responsibility primarily of the manufacturer, first of all, to report that their products are being counterfeited.
Is it possible for you to have access to the place where the counterfeiting is being done?
Yes, it is possible if it is reported.
Because
and
it's
why
not only
it
alcohol. Many things, including soap, is counterfeited.
Yes. Where we get the information, because we get the information, we relay this to the anti-counterfeit, then we are able to move it as a team, and that one has happened in the past. But we need to get that information so that we are able to move. You will agree with me that counterfeiting is not done in an open place. It's a very hidden practice. So it can go on for some time before it is detected. But I want to assure the Kenyans that in a situation where we have received the information, we have worked with the anti-counterfeit, and that matter has been addressed. But we need the cooperation of the Mwananchi, we need the cooperation of the manufacturer.
If you cooperate, do you report? If you find your product is counterfeited?
Yes, we do report, because you see, for me it's retrogressive. For me to leave a product that is counterfeited in the market, it eats into my market share. And as what Mr. Mturi is saying, I agree with, is that we need to work together to form a strong bond that can now fight these guys. Because as you're saying, these guys operate underground. Yeah? So it's very difficult to know who they are, but we being in the market, I'm able to know faster than him that this is a counterfeit.
What about policing yourself so that you don't have members who produce low quality stuff?
That is one of the mandates of our association as we speak. We have to police ourselves because we are the biggest losers.
You say you have been there for 2 years.
Yes.
Yet this production of low quality alcohol, which they mix with their own hands. Like he says, there are no factories. People can get chemicals from Mohoroni, they mix with water and some coloring, and they sell it and bottle it.
Do you remember the prohibition in America in the 1920s?
Yes.
The rise of the Al Capone.
Yes.
Now, you know how strong...
And bootleggers.
The bootleggers.
Yes.
Same thing. You want to kill alcohol, you create a vacuum, somebody else comes in. Okay? So, these guys are not very easy to kill because they're also making money from it. So you may report, the reported cases that there's counterfeit. Some have been dealt with successfully, others have not. And basically because of the culture of corruption and this and the other. But if we are running a task force with us, with NACAD and everybody else, and we are strong enough, and we're able to push local government officials who are now compromised in this thing, then we're able to make a difference. But otherwise, me myself as a member or as a manufacturer, I cannot be able to deal with those guys myself. So some are reported, some are not dealt with. Some you report they are dealt with, tomorrow they are back in business. Yeah. So it's a matter of implementation. And I don't think NACAD is at fault here. I think the problem is actually with government.
Well, the administration, the police, the administrative chiefs, they are very much involved in this kind of not only counterfeit but also local brews like changa. I don't know how you deal with that. The chiefs, the policemen who every day they go to get money from those counterfeit people and people producing illicit drinks.
You see, what is happening is that we need to understand who has the responsibility for ensuring that there are no illicit brews and in the market the licenses have been given. Who has the responsibility to do that? And you will find that at the moment that function has been delegated to the county government, and in the county government there is a whole committee that deals with that. A committee that today they can decide you will close your premise. They don't need permission from anybody. They are the ones who issue the license. They are the ones who can withdraw. They have all the powers to do with that. The policeman is just a member of that committee. You find the other members, like the public health, the county government is involved. We also have community members in that committee. And in particular, there is emphasis, women must be represented. So when we say that the chief is having control, I think we are saying that that committee is allowing the chief to have that control. In my view, if that committee was to work effectively, they do not need permission from anybody to control, manufacture, production, sale of alcoholic drinks in their own counties. They have all the powers. So I would say that that committee has a primary responsibility, and then the other agencies can support the work that is being done.
Let's talk about rehabilitation. Nakada has problems, and particularly voiced by the chairman, Mutuzo, with the way you do your things. There has been a big problem between, I think, the chairman and the executives about how the money is spent. And like that rehabilitation thing you are talking about, probably you give money to people who are briefcase. I don't know whether you have resolved that so that we have trust that you are doing something positive.
I want to confirm that, like, when it comes to the treatment and rehabilitation, I have already explained that this financial year we are supporting the establishment of 13. We are working with the county government, and the process is very transparent. I would say at this point that even these ones which you have been hearing about, briefcase NGOs, this matter has been investigated by the board, and they have even gone out and they have found the NGOs are not briefcase. By the way, all those NGOs were identified by the District Alcoholic Drinks Committee, Control Committee.
Isn't it a contradiction and a conflict of interest that you have people who are in Nakada who own bars and who do business in alcohol?
Unfortunately, we don't have that. And if you have any figures, maybe you have heard that statement, but you have never seen the name of an Nakada staff who owns a bar.
Maybe the family or relatives, I don't know, but we have heard that. We have heard that senior people in Nakada own drinking establishments.
Yes, but I want to confirm that I am one of the senior people. I know the senior people in the Nakada, and owning a bar is not a priority for us as Nakada staff. So perhaps the statement, I have seen that statement, but if you have any fact and check everywhere whether anybody has ever been mentioned that so and so owns a bar and this is a name or has a relative, it is not true.
I think unless you have some appeal to make, I think I want to end this discussion.
Yes, I think the only appeal that I can make is that probably they hasten the process of the vetting and moving on, because as we say, we are hemorrhaging. We're hemorrhaging. The fact that we are paying rent, we've dismissed our workers who are not at home. It's a whole total mess. Yeah. And secondly, just to add that we are not illicit brewers. The term illicit brewers is for people who operate outside the law. We operate within the law. Within the law. Yeah. And finally, if the government could look at a way of compensating the factories that were and property that was lost, because it's enshrined in our constitution, and the president came in on an agenda of upholding the constitution.
But you've gone to court. I don't know whether you've gone to court as a group or individually.
We've gone to court as a group, so we're going to wait for that to happen. But I mean, everybody saw what happened. It's an obvious case. Even if, however the court process goes, the government should think about how to compensate the people who lost their property.
In fact, the president went ahead and said that he did not ask people to destroy property, to destroy illicit drinks, not property.
It's very difficult to only destroy the illicit drinks which are housed in premises. How do you destroy it without entering into somebody's premises? That's the it's an oxymoron to say that destroy that drink, but how do you get it? Yeah.
Last word before you close. What do you want to tell the public?
I think first of all, the manufacturers, I want to urge them to cooperate, because by the end of the exercise, it is going to be to their benefit, in the sense that people who are doing illegal practices are going to be weeded off, and therefore their cooperation is called for. I also want to tell the members of the public that the campaign against alcohol and drug abuse depends 50% on their effort, and that is what we have seen. When the leaders in various regions and the public came up, we have seen a greater impact than before. So let us not take a back seat and wait for other people to do the campaign for us. We have seen the power that it can make. And lastly, I want to urge the members of the public that if there is any issue, they can call our toll-free helpline, that is 1192. And with that toll-free helpline, with the Safaricom, they don't have to pay anything, and we can be able to address any matter. If they have somebody who they would want to take for counseling, they need some guidance on treatment and rehabilitation center, we can be able to address that matter through that helpline 1192.
Thank you very much. That's all we are in time for this morning. We go to the other side of the studio and listen to the music. After that, we'll go to the National Theatre to see what is happening there with Kerio Ngarua and the rest. Have a good day.